Thanks everyone for stopping in today at Rick's Gadgets. So today what I want to do is cover the HomeSeer software itself. I'm going to give you a brief overview of setting up the software and what it takes to add your first few devices. So stick around. Welcome back to Rick's Gadgets. So today I want to start off with the HomeSeer software itself. As you can see, I've got you on the HomeSeer main page. And what you want to do to get started is go to the download section. Here you can go to the HomeSeer 3 Pro link, and that will take you to the site where you can download for Windows, Linux, and Raspberry Pi. So today I'm going to focus on the Windows version because that's what I'm using here, and it's just a little easier. You can run the Linux and the Raspberry Pi. The only thing that's going to be a little different is the drivers, because the drivers are a little different from the Windows, of course, to Linux. So when you download this, it's going to start you off in a trial version, and this software is full featured in trial mode, so you get all the benefits and there's no limitations to it. So once you get it downloaded, I'm going to break over and then I'm going to show you what the actual web page looks once you bring up HomeSeer. So once the install finishes, the browser is automatically going to pop up and it's going to present you with the main HomeSeer screen. And what this is going to allow you to do is we're going to go in and do a little bit of configuration. I'm just going to go over the basic ones for now to kind of get the system up and running, and we'll dive into some more a little bit later on. So what you want to do is you want to come up here to the tools sections and do setup. Here we're going to allow you to put in your region information. So this way it'll use the your latitude, longitude, so it'll know more or less where you're at for the dusk dawn sensors. So it'll know the time of the day, so you can control the lights based on sunset, sunrise. So just set that to your area, and then you can set Fahrenheit, Celsius, whichever you prefer. That's it on this page. The biggest page will be on the next tab, which is the network tab. Here you can set your accounts as to who has access, and this you can set it with a guest, normal, admin, no access, guest, and local, normal, local. So this allows you to either make sure if you're on the local network or if you're accessing it remotely. This gives you options. So if you just want guests to come in and not be able to control anything, that's the guest account. The admin, of course, gives you full control over everything. So you can set you up user ID and password here. Next, you want to go down and change your server port. Here I have it set at 80. If you already have something running on port 80 on your network, you can change it to 8080, 8888. It could be anything. And what you've got to do to make this visible outside of your network, you're going to have to go in and configure your router. So that's going to vary from router to router. So what I would recommend is just Googling port forwarding, and whatever port number you pick here is the number you're going to have port forwarding on the router itself for whichever brand you have. And that's basically it on this page. The third tab I want to cover is email. Here I use my Gmail account, and what you'll do is you'll put your Gmail account name here and the Gmail password. And what this will do is if you want it to email events, for example, I have mine email my cell phone provider, so it'll come through as a text, so that way I can get text messages based on who's coming in the house, or if doors open at certain times. I can send those alerts out. So here you can use like I said, you can use a Gmail, or if you have your own email settings, you can use your SMTP, just whatever you prefer. Gmail's a little bit easier if you got an account like that. So that's it as far as the setup. So once we finish with the setup, what we've got to do is we've got to get our interfaces set up. So this is controlled under the plugins menu. And I'm going to go to plugins and I'm going to do manage. Now I already have mine here because this is my system that I use every day. But what you'll do is you'll be presented with a blank screen here. So you want to go down to additional interfaces and just click on that drop down box. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you the option to go through and pick. These are called plugins, and what it does is this plugin allows you to control other devices outside of the software itself. So for example, I have the HomeSeer Z-Wave plugin. So you would just click the checkbox, and I also have my X10 CMA15 plugin I would need. So I would check that box. And those are my two interfaces that I use to control everything outside of the software itself. So once you click on that, you're just going to click up download and install. And what it'll do is it'll go through the install process, and it will bring you back up to this page here. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to configure this. So for example, my CMA15, I just enable it and it automatically finds the device connected to the PC, because mine is connected through a USB port, and the same thing with my Z-Wave protocol. It's connected through USB. So as soon as this gets enabled, then it will pick it up and be able to use it. Sometimes you can install a device or a plug-in, and it requires you to actually specify a COM port. As you can see here on my current cost, which is my home automation or home energy monitor, it's on COM 4. So you may be selected with this depending on the device you're using, but for my setup, I'm using the CMA15 and the Z-Wave, and those are the only two really that I need to configure. So once the plugins get installed, what you want to do is we want to go down and manage it. The only one we have to manage is the Z-Wave. The CMA doesn't require any initial setup. So for the Z-Wave, you're going to go to controller management. Here it's going to show you the Z-Wave network interface, and if you click on the little arrow, it's going to show you your device. And what you could do is put in a friendly name. I named mine Z-Stick, and as you can see, it shows up down here in the interface box. So on the interface box, this is going to be the area where you'll control how you add and remove devices from your system. So with Z-Wave, the way it works is you have your USB dongle and you pair it with a light switch or a thermostat. And what you do is you have to put the device in what they call inclusion mode, and you'll put the Z-Stick actually in inclusion mode. And what they'll do is they'll bind together, and that Z-Stick will then retain the information for that device. And then when you come back into HomeSeer and you plug it into the USB drive, it will allow you to come in and import that information. And what it'll do is when you do the import, it'll then add all those devices into your HomeSeer setup, and it'll then show up on your home screen. So for Z-Wave, that's all you need to do as far as the configuration. So what we'll do is in a later video, I'll show you that actual pairing sequence, because it takes a little bit of time because you have to do it for each device. So, and I can kind of give you a little more of a detail tutorial on that. So once you're finished here, we're going to go back to the home screen. And so since you're presented with just a blank canvas here, what we want to do is we want to add our first device. So we're going to click on the plus device here, and it's going to present us with a name box. So let's just put couch light. We'll submit. Now for your floor and room, what HomeSeer allows you to do, it allows you to group items. So what I did was I created a new floor called first floor. If you have a second story, of course you can add second, basement, outside, inside. You could group these ever how you would like. I did a new room, and I created den. So this is going to be my den lights. So let's pretend that this is like the old X10 legacy system. If you want to use X10, I'm going to kind of give you an idea of how it works for X10. So with X10, they use device codes, which are comprised of two digits. You get a alpha and you get a digital number. And what this is the way X10 works is it transmits a signal along the power line, and the device is plugged into a receptacle, and it sees that signal and it acts upon on or off. X10 is a good interface. I've had it for many years. The only problem is it's not as reliable. For example, microwaves are notorious for putting a lot of noise on the power line, and it'll interfere with the signals, and some commands may not be sent or received. So a lot of people kind of have faded away from the X10 and are going more with the Z-Wave and other protocols. So, but for here, this is just the reference for the screen. To actually control it through the power line interface, you have to go into this CMA15 tab. This is where you would set up how it's going to be sent out across the power line. So here we're going to set up the house code and unit code and just click done. Since I've already selected A1, pretty simple. So once that shows up, a lot of times you may not see it, so let's just go in here and click our rooms, and we'll do check all, and now we have our couch light. So this one's one that I had started, and I will just delete it. So if you make a mistake on one, that's all you do is check it, delete it. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you the on-off command, the name, and you can act on it, on or off. And since I didn't set this as any type of on-off, it does have the slider which allows you to do dim status. So you can change that as well. If you just wanted an on-off, you could go into the properties. So let me click on the couch light here and just go to advanced status. And here you can set the type of your endpoints. You know, if you want a slider control for your dimming. If you only want it to set it on and off, then just leave it on and off. You know, delete all the other brightness controls here. So, but that is it for how you set up a device. So let's just do one more, just for let's add a device. So let's do DIN motion sensor. That's it. And so we're going to say this is on the first floor as well, DIN. And I'm just going to say it's an X10. Let's do D1. And D1. And as you can see now I have my DIN motion sensor. And one thing that I forgot to mention before, the voice command, there is an Alexa component you can run with HomeSeer. So you can put in, if you want to change your Alexa keywords, you can do that. So that's something I'm going to get into a little bit later on. I'm trying to keep this basic for now. But there are some features in here that will allow you to control via voice commands as well. So now let's say we've got our two devices here. Let's do a simple event. You remember how I was saying where some things it'll turn on the light if you walk in a room, turn it off if you don't, walk out. Let's say we only want that to happen if it's after 10 p.m. and that way we don't have the light coming on during the day, or at various times when we're just walking in and out of the room. So we can come up here and create an event. And what we'll do is we'll come up here, and in the events group, let's just put new event here. And let's put DIN lights on with motion at night. Right. So what we're going to do is come up here, and we have these conditions. And what you could do is you can put multiple conditions in here. You can keep adding various ones. So what we want to do is we want to say here, if the device value, and let's say the device, we want to say changes and becomes on. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the DIN motion sensor, and we say it comes on, which means there's a movement. Now, that's just saying if it comes on, we can come down here and we can control a device, and we can say couch light, and we can say on. And then what we'll do here is we can then come in and say control device, and just say couch light, and let's say turn it off. Whoops. Turn it off after 5 minutes. So this way it'll turn off. But remember how I said let's only turn it on at night? So let's add another condition in here. So let's come in here and we'll add the time is, and let's say it is after, and let's say 10 p.m. Now then, that's all we need. So after 10 p.m., if we walk into the room, the light will come on. We can even get more conditions in here if you would like. If you wanted to add the off based on the motion sensor going off and not a set time, you can do that as well. You can set up multiple events this way. So this is a quick overview of the interface. So now I said I wanted to show you my system. So now I'm going to pull up my system and I'll show you a little more detail as to what a full system looks like. So here is a sample of my home automation system. As you can see, I got different devices added. For example, here's one, my garage door, where I can open and close it. I have various devices set up here for my Christmas, couch lights. That's one good thing that home automation is good for, is for Christmas lights. Turn them all on at once, turn them all off at night. Makes life easy. Here's a good example of a Z-Wave product. So this one I wanted to show you. When you add a Z-Wave device, there's various components that get added in when you add each component. And for example, this was a water sensor that I put out under my hot water heater. So if something were to start leaking on it, it would alert me. And when you added it, it gives you the device, it gives you a status device, gives you the type of alarm, it can send notifications, and it'll also give you the battery update. So it'll pull it and tell you kind of what the battery life is like. And these are just some of the components in here. So on a lot of the Z-Wave devices, I hide these because I don't care if I see what the status is. I just want to see if the notification is there, usually the battery life. And what I'll do is I usually try to group them by batteries, so that way I can just pull up and I can just show all my batteries. Uncheck all and batteries, and then once I click off, it'll show all my Z-Wave devices with different battery levels. So, gives you kind of a quick rundown as to how some of your motion sensors, garage door sensors are. And you're only going to get this on Z-Wave products. The X10 will not provide you with any battery status. It's just a device on-off. So that's one of the nice things too about Z-Wave. So this is kind of my setup, and let me show you here some of my events. So here I have my, for example, my HVAC. I set it based on, I could do it going away. A lot of times I set it based on the outside temperature. Home occupancy, that's one thing I like to do with my motion sensors. Within HomeSeer you can create what they call a virtual device. So it's just virtually built in there, and it can have a status. And so what I like to do is create a what I call occupancy. And if my motion sensors have been inactive for 30 minutes, all of them, I'll set the house to away status. And so when it goes on an away status, then I could come in and set my thermostats and adjust them up or down as needed. And based on the time of the year, I can set heat or set cool. So it's kind of mimicking what the Nest thermostats do, but it allows me to do my whole house. Because, for example, I have upstairs and downstairs. So my kids are upstairs. They have heat and air, but when they're gone, it goes to a normal level or a different level, because a lot of times they're not in the house all day long. It's just us downstairs. So why run the air conditioner or the heat upstairs if no one's up there? So I base it based on the split level of the house. So, but these are just some of the events that I have for my HVAC. I do have some, here's my occupancy, and I have one like here I can email. So when the occupancy becomes changes to home, what I'll do is I send an email to my Verizon account, and that will send me a text message, and I can put in the subject line what I want it to be. so I know it's my house's occupied status. I also have one if someone comes to my front door or back door and the house is in an away mode, it'll send me a text to let me know there's motion at the front or back door. So that way I can kind of pull up the cameras and see if anybody's kind of looking around the house. So that's just some of the things you could do with HomeSeer. So in my next video, what I'm going to try to focus on is maybe doing a little more on the Z-Wave, how to do the controller management, adding a device, and showing you how it gets added into the system. So I appreciate you stopping in today. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And if there's anything else you would like to see on a future video, just drop a line in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you back again here at Rick's Gadgets. Thanks and have a great day.